You are a global woman, you are a global leader. And the bigger your vision, the smaller the little actions you have to do on a daily are. So let's dive right in. I already put down a little picture because that's how I work best, and I believe that's how I can transmit what I know best. So as I said, you are a global leader. You are a woman that is called for greater impact. Whether you are a coach, a consultant, a global woman, a leader, whatever you identify with. And probably this identification is new, right? You have been somewhere else in a corporate setting, in a professional role, and now you're thinking about transitioning into this new level, right? Into this new identity of being a coach, a leader, consultant, whatever it is that it is for you. And I want to speak about something because I have seen it in my own life that when you have this calling, the vision is so big, the vision is so huge, you don't really know how to get there. And sometimes this huge vision can become so overwhelming that it either paralyzes you so you don't know what you're doing in your everyday life in the 24 hours that you have, or and that's another thing I want to talk about today is that you continue to go out into the world and seek more information, validation, belonging to a group of women or a tribe or whatever you want to call it. So I want to dive right in. I really want to dive right in because for me, it's always best to do it on the whiteboard. So what I've created here already is a representation of, I always say that's the arenas that I draw from. Okay. So this here represents ancient knowledge, ancient wisdom and knowledge. That is for me the best summary of all of the wisdom and the teachings that I have studied the past 10 years. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Joana Fatondji. And one of the things or the things that I've done in the past 10 years is I studied integrative medicine or I studied nutrition. I studied nutrition. I'm a medically approved holistic nutritionist and with a focus on Ayurveda, on plant based food, and all of the methodologies that help you restore gut health and yeah, just natural foods and everything around that. Natural foods that also lead to natural beauty. Very important ancient wisdom for the feminine. Then I also studied all of the world philosophies, right? A little bit of everything. I studied religions, but also philosophies from Christianity to Buddhism to a little bit of Islam, then also different philosophies, really assortment of everything a little bit. Ancient wisdom and philosophy. For me, religion is part of that too, right? I read the Bhagavad Gita, right? Going into this ancient Indian philosophy, but I also studied African traditional medicine and also philosophies. I am originally half Ghanaian. My mom is German. My dad is Ghanaian. So this for me also goes into ancient wisdom, right? Philosophy, health, medicine, beauty, all of the timeless. For me, like ancient and timeless is the same, just as universal, right? Universal law or principles, right? This is also astrology, but also the Kybalion, right? I'm throwing all these words around. So if you know them, find resonance. If you don't know, maybe that's something that you want to study, right? This is where I draw from. Everything that I teach, I draw from this ancient teachings of wisdom and philosophy, timeless, wisdom that never goes out of trend, right? Whether it is the connection to the earth and the herbs and the medicine and the beauty rituals, but also evolutionary wisdom in terms of relationships, femininity, masculinity, relationships, marriage, family structures. All of that is also found in ancient teachings and ancient philosophies. Okay, good. So then I also studied international business. I have a bachelor's degree in international business. And that's why, on top of this ancient wisdom, which is the soil, which is the feminine, which represents the ancient wisdom, for me, that is the feminine. Feminine, like feminine wisdom, ancient wisdom, earth related wisdom, that is all very feminine. That's my personal definition. Then we have the masculine, which is also the representation of, I always like to say, of the man made power structures that started with organized religion. Organized religion, patriarchy, colonialism, which then turned to capitalism, and racism. These three power structures are literally suppressing this, right? Capitalism, patriarchy, and racism is more or less suppressing more feminine cultures, more ancient cultures, more timeless wisdom, right? Racism meaning that white supremacy over brown people. I speak to women of the global majority. That is my target group. That's you. If you're not that, you're still welcome to learn. But that is truly what I speak about. The same thing with patriarchy, right? Everything that has to do with the earth, everything that has to do with the soil, with the plants, with universal rhythms and cycles, and the moon and the tides and the water and the seasons of harvest and the natural cycle and the feminine rhythm, the menstruation rhythm. All of that is feminine. And the patriarchal system, including institutionalized religion, put itself on top of it and try to suppress it, and has suppressed it for a long time. Okay. And then also, as I said, colonialism, imperialism, which then also turned to capitalism, because colonialism is about going somewhere else, invading the space, invading the culture, invading the soil, and then extracting the natural minerals, the golds, the diamonds, but also all of the other earth bound or earth related natural treasures like food and fruits and oil and seeds and plant medicine, like everything that is literally in the soil, in the feminine soil, gets extracted by colonial or capitalistic structures: extraction, exploitation, stealing, right? This is this system, the pyramid. Very masculine, very toxic, very exploitative, very suppressing of that. All right. So now we see that is the foundation, but this is also what we need to understand. Okay. And this system, the CPR system, this framework was coined by Julia Shaw. I always say that, and I will try to put more references as well, since I've learned from many different mentors. And I want to say that in order, and again, I started this topic with you are a global woman, right? You're a global woman. And if you understand that you're a global woman, you're probably kind of the same, no matter what it is that you actually draw from, whether it is more of the philosophy, whether it is more of the ancient health, right? Because it's a lot like health, Ayurveda, Oh, also other traditional, it's if it's African or traditional South American, indigenous people, whatever, like health, beauty, philosophy, ways of living, all come from here. And if you are a professional and you want to bring that into the world, right? And this is for me that comes with being a global woman. I always say you have to understand that the main power hierarchy that you cannot just overthrow is capitalism, because and that is very important. I always say the same thing again and again, but that's important, right? Because if you are a woman of the global majority, one thing that you definitely have to do is you have to deconstruct internalized racism, right? Internalized racism means white superiority. White superiority means whiteness has more value, and I reject that. Obviously, I know that's not true. It's a scam, it's an illusion, it's a lie, and we have to do the work to get back to our own abundance, right? To claim our own wealth, inheritance, wealth of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to create a good life. So we reject internalized, right? Not only external, because all of these systems, I always like to say, is the water that we swim in, is the overculture, right? Maybe that's a word also from, maybe you've read that from Woman Who Runs with the Wolves by Clarissa Pincola Estes. She always calls that the overculture. This CPR system is the overculture to indigenous feminine culture. And we want to reject that. We want to reject internalized racism, right? Then we also want to reject internalized patriarchy. Internalized patriarchy means male superiority, that the masculine energy, or that the masculine attributes and qualities and masculine qualities are superior to the feminine qualities, right? This is where the whole also capitalistic corporate structures come from. Structure, the 24-hour day, everyday productivity, maybe the 9 to 5 cycle. And we know that that is not sustainable, especially for a woman, because we don't work like that. We do not work like that. We need to be in the 28 cycle, 28-day cycle of our period, right? Of our system. So, but also other things like logic, right? Logic is more of the masculine than the feeling. All of the feeling and the spiritual and the sensing is more of the feminine. This overculture that we have lived in for so long suppresses the feminine qualities and attributes like feeling and sensing and nurturing and relationship building, right? And really community, the cycle, right? It's so wonderful. Like I drew this very intuitively. I mean, this knowledge is inside of me for so long, but it didn't even know on how many levels this would make sense. But again, internalized patriarchy, we as women, we have to get rid of it in order to free ourselves and see, no, I have worth. I have worth. I am valuable. And I, the way I am as a woman, with my feeling, with my intuition, with my gut sense, right? That is my survival instinct. That is my universal and natural and divine intelligence, right? And I am valuable, right? It's not only the logical and the working productivity every day, 24 hours. No, there's a different intelligence, a different value that I carry as a woman, as a feminine, connected to the earth, to the cycles, and so on. Good. And as I said, the last thing that we cannot get rid of, we have to deconstruct it, the capitalistic system. We can, I always say, the only flexible variable that we have here is to understand how we want to make money, but we have to make money, right? There is no way around that. So we have to make money, And the only way we can change something in our own ecosystem is the way how we make money, with who we make money, what we offer to the marketplace, and then who do we trade it with, and like what is really the underlying relationship of the working transaction. I think these are the variables that we can decide on. Is it in alignment with our values, right? Do we promote something that we believe in? Do we sell something that we believe in? Do we interact with people that we actually do want to empower? This is how work can become amazing, right? But you will have to work, because that is also an ancient thing, right? When people say, like, I reject capitalism, it doesn't mean that you have to reject working on yourself and becoming an amazing market woman. You still have to do that. That's what I think, right? You still have to become an amazing market person and understand how to survive and thrive and bring and add value to the market. All right. With that being said, you see that the only way, and that's how I see it, the only way you can live the life of your dreams is when you draw, first of all, when you replenish yourself from this exploitative, restrictive, exploitative, extractive system. You have to replenish yourself by coming in contact with nature. And that doesn't only mean to go out in nature, even though that's nice, right? But it's really to integrate the feminine way of living into your everyday life by the foods that you eat, the cycles, right? Resting, really understanding that you live a completely different cycle than the overculture. That is how you can come into your power, into your health, into your vitality, into your beauty. All of that is a sign of success. And with that, withdrawing from these universal principles, also universal business principles. This is everything that I teach in my courses. So if you are interested, get into my membership, sign up for my courses, check them out. Let's talk, have a aligned level up call. That's what I do. But let's continue here. If you want to really draw from those energies, replenishing energies, this is going to be your way to connect to abundance, right? I also wrote a book. I'm going to turn this way today. And this is exactly it. It's called Healing into Femininity, right? And if you can see, it's exactly the representation of this, right? It is about becoming a divine feminine, but not somewhere outside of the system. No, inside of the system, inside of the world that we still live in. And how you do that is, as I said, you draw from this deeper feminine wisdom, timeless wisdom, universal law, ancient philosophy, ancient religion, if you want, right? Ancient health system like Ayurveda or other ancient traditional medicine systems, of if it's African or traditional Chinese medicine, right? All of that is stored here. That is the wisdom library, right? I also have a wisdom library. I also have a book club, and that is where we read books about these ancient wisdom nourishment. Yeah, so you pull from there inside wherever you are, right? I live in the city. I live in the city of Cologne. I live in Germany. And inside that world, you can create your own little world. In the beginning, it's going to be your own little world, and that is your little square, your little garden, right? I always like to say, like, that is your little garden, and your little garden constitutes of also your health, your relationships, your career, right? And your finances. So this is the life audit that I always do in the beginning. Also, if you go into my membership and you go to the classrooms, there is a classroom that is called Start Here. And this is where you find the vision workshop, right? The vision workshop helps you exactly to create a holistic vision for your life, for your health, relationships, for your vocation, and for your finances. This is your garden. And even though I speak about CPR, I speak about systems awareness, and I also speak about ancient wisdom, I want to bring it together, and I want you to understand that you can bring it together, and you need to, right? Step by step, you need to draw from this reservoir of power, because that is truly the power, right? That is the true power. You have to draw from that reservoir of power to then create your own little bubble as a person, and then later as a family, and then later as a community, right? The more you grow in capacity and the more you are fit in really sustaining, maintaining, and also growing your ecosystem, the more other people will come. This is also the foundation of then you finding the right people and all of that. Okay. So let me check. Yes. So I started the video saying that you are a global leader, right? Good. So seeing this already is the way, right? If you want to make a great impact, one thing that I realized on my almost more than 10-year journey of heavily investing in learning all these ancient systems, right? As I said, so a little bit of my story. I am the child of a German mother, Ghanaian father. I grew up between Germany and Ghana, and then I went to school and then to university in Germany and in France. I studied international business, going into corporate, being in the finance sector, and then later in sales. And then parallel to that, I knew that is not sustainable, right? So I dug deep and I invested heavily, around like more than 100,000 euros, into my reconnection with the spiritual, with the ancient, with the timeless knowledge. So I became a holistic nutritionist, and then I became a certified life mastery consultant. And this is the life I have been building up until now. I wrote this book. I worked with a lot of people already, with leaders, with celebrities, with coaches, with saleswomen, with actresses, with founders. I have been Miss Germany, a top 20. I've done many things. Now is my time really to pour into you. And that is also what I'm saying in terms of being a global leader. I have gone out into the world, studying here, studying there, investing really with world class teachers. And then I went out to kind of make a name for myself, building my personal brand, right? Going on stages and so on and so forth. That's what I did. And now, and as I said, if you want to be a global woman, and this is what I realized this week, because this week I went to another networking event, and it was literally called Global Women. It's a networking organization. But I realized that in order to further my true impact, this is everything that I have to do. I am going to continue to pour into you. I am going to continue to build my YouTube platform. I am going to continue to build my wisdom library. With every little video, I am going to pour more and more of my knowledge into you, into my community, really building community over in my original sanctuary. And also offline, like all of that is already in planning, right? Building true community offline in Germany, but also worldwide, connecting to people who resonate with me, who want to work with me. And now I want to build a bridge to you. That is the same thing. At one point, you might feel like, okay, I have learned here, I have learned there. If you haven't finished your learning, come over into my original sanctuary. This is where I teach you all of what I've learned in the past 10 years, and it has been poured down to me from other master teachers who have learned over 40 years from their mentors, right? Like my wisdom really comes from a lineage of other great teachers. So if you want to learn with me, come over into my original sanctuary, and this is where you're going to get replenished by all of this knowledge so you can blossom into the best version of yourself. But also, if you have done your learning and you're already ready to bloom and you're ready to radiate your message and your scent and your essence and your beauty, I want to say something about that because, and this is another thing that I always like to put, because there are already all of these frameworks, and I just like to bring them together because why reinvent the wheel? I think some of the things that I invent are amazing, but a lot of things are definitely synthesized, right? Remix strategies, right? You've probably seen the Maslow pyramid, the hierarchy of needs. And then there's another video that I also created, and that is about the four levels of awareness, right? There are four levels of consciousness. And the first level is the why me, is the victim consciousness. Then the second level is the by me consciousness. That is more of the masculine consciousness. And I truly believe that if you're here, you're probably still here working in corporate, working as a professional woman, or working to transition. And that is the third. This is where I want to welcome you into my world. That is the through me. It's called through me consciousness. That is where you grow, or where you heal into femininity, right? That is the whole, yeah, that is the whole philosophy of my book and my path from the by me, because the why me is the victim consciousness. Then the by me is the doing, right? Hustling, doing, working, getting the degrees, getting the job, getting the corporate job, making a bit of a career inside corporate, or really grinding so you can get to a certain position. And then you realize, oh my God, that's not it. I actually feel that this system is not sustainable. There is no ladder to the top for me if I continue to grind in a system that is literally designed to devalue me as a woman of color, a system that is designed to devalue me as a woman, right? Because I can't be a man, and I am not planning to be a man. But I know that I am valuable, and I know that I can make money, but I need a new way. And that is exactly what I'm going to help you with, to create a new way based on the feminine. Oh, look at that. Feminine power, right? Feminine power, ancient wisdom, universal laws, health, and so on, right? This is what we are drawing from to create a system where you can create your own garden that still, and even more, will create abundance for you. And this, I love that I painted this rose, or this flower into the system, because this here, let's see this here, the middle of the flower, what you need to get out of this very masculine structure of coming from the professional world, and all of the system is not only the work, it's not only career, but probably your health, your relationships, and your finances have been kind of limited by following a framework that was never made for you as a woman of the global majority. So maybe you're burned out, or maybe you're just, that is not sustainable. I can't continue to do that if I want to blossom into personal realization and into abundance, in more of an aligned way of living with my body, with my nature as a woman, right? So, what you would need for that is through me. And that is a stage of surrender. Surrender to the here and now, and surrender to you, and surrender to trust, and surrender to feminine laws and universal power, and integrating the, before I continue to speak here, the last one is the as me. And this is truly where you integrate all of it, right? I always say that is the yin yang. This is where you live from feminine and masculine energy, because we need both. Everybody has much, let's say, and that's literally what it is, right? Like the feminine is the dark energy, The feminine is the dark energy. And you as a woman, you definitely have, like, you, let's say, like, that's what you are. You have, let's say, depending on how you live, right? You could be 50% in your masculine and 50% in your feminine. But I believe that women desire to be more in their feminine, more in their full nature. So let's say you are, let's say, 70% in your feminine and 30% in your masculine. That's where we want to get you, right? If you are maybe 90% in your masculine because you have to take care of everything all the time, everything just happens by you, right? We want to create more balance. And that is the stage where we do that. This is what all my programs are designed to get you here. Okay. So, with that being said, coming back to this one, through me, you will have to start with surrendering and becoming more vulnerable. That is the master key of creating a heart led, soul led, purpose led business, right? You will have to open up and let your heart and your vulnerability and your love shine through. This is going to be the secret sauce. Now it's no longer secret, but that is the secret sauce. That is the sauce. That is the juice that you're going to create the beautiful business that you desire to make. And also tying this back to saying, you are a global woman, right? You are a global impact maker. You are a global leader. That doesn't come from that strategy. It doesn't come from the strategy of continuing to do more. Right. It doesn't come from the strategy of you continuing to do more, and also not from the strategy of running around and connecting to that person and that person and that person and that person. I actually I actually don't think that that is truly the way. I am all for aligned relationship. I truly am. I am a woman that likes to connect. Like, I have been networking for since I can remember, to be honest. But what I realized, in order to create more of the abundance that I truly, truly desire, is to rest in my feminine, right? Is to be more in my feminine. And as I said in the beginning, is to cultivate my own garden daily. And that can only be done by being effective. And effective meaning to use as much of my 24 hours to cultivate my whole garden, meaning my health, right? In order to live a feminine life, I have to sleep. I have to sleep, then I have to work out, move my body, right? To work on my health, to eat right, to prepare food that is healthy for me. Then also I need relationships, right? Also, I truly believe that that's my way of seeing things, but of course, nothing is perfect, and I don't have a expectation for us to jump from this hustle and grind to bliss all of a sudden. But I truly believe that we need to be in relationship with the people that we love on a very regular basis. But if we're constantly tired and constantly exhausted and away from home, we're not really replenished with the relationships that we desire. That is, yeah, that is very important. And that's actually what I'm working on more. Then, in order to create the career that we desire, I believe that if you already have something to give, if you haven't finalize it, or if you haven't strategized it, if you don't have the framework for it or the system, the business system for it, this is also what I help you with in the original method. So if you want help and support to create your system that you gathered for yourself, but now you want to really put it into a systematized way so you can help other people create transformation through your knowledge, that's what I do in the original method. Contact me from the link in the description box down below. Okay. So the career that you want to pour into, I believe the best way to do it is to do it on a regular basis. And it doesn't come from, again, doing more, but being more in your space with time. You need time, and you need a quality of time, meaning you need to be in quiet. You need to be a little in solitude. You need to be protected from the hustle and bustle of the world in order to be creative, in order to get into your best thinking, into your best thinking, right? Because the business that you're going to build is not only going to be doing more, it's going to be more of a quality, quality, right? That is also for me the feminine. The feminine is luxury. The feminine lifestyle that we aspire, the soft life, is luxury. And I'm not speaking, I haven't spoken about a man once, have I? Right? It's not about waiting for somebody to give us that life. No, you create it for yourself, right? The feminine way is more time, more spaciousness, more thinking, more beauty, harmony, right? You need that feminine. Like when I look around here in my office, I have my flowers, I have my plants, I have my colors, I have my interior design, I have my altar. Like I have all of the beautiful things that inspire me. Like I'm inspired by beauty, and that is how your whole life should look like to become a more inspiring field, right? My mentor Mary Morrissey, she has a book and it's called Your Field of Miracles, I think. And that's what it is. You create and you still see inside the system, right? I'm not speaking about I'm not against it, not at all, but just listen. Like I'm not speaking about you have to move to Africa or you have to move to indigenous country, or you don't have to go off grid, right? You can't do that in the long run. Like that would be the soil. But you can do that inside the system, inside the industrialized world. You could do that, right? More and more and more. And for me, that whole circle here is your circle of personal power. Personal power. You can, even if you just have one room that is yours, you can make space. Put everything, all the clutter, all the things you don't find beautiful that are not necessary, whether it is in your food, in your relationships, in your career, in your finances. Get all of that out. You need more space in order to cultivate more of it, what it is that you truly love. And that comes with quality, like time, quality of time, quiet, right? Thinking, being creative, then acting on it, making steps every single day, right? That is the soft life or the luxurious life that we speak about. And it doesn't have to be lavish. It has nothing to do with designer clothes. It has nothing to do with any material thing, right? As I said, start where you are with what you have, and then create the field of your personal influence, of your personal influence, of your personal power to open up and open your system. This is where more of the breathing, the breath work, the nervous system regulation. Ultimately, like these are very trendy words and I support them, but as I said, I come from even more timeless wisdom. This is about being relaxed. That's it, right? Being relaxed, to breathe deep and to come from a place of groundedness where you can take your time to then slowly but surely, effectively pour into the life, the field that you are building. And as I said, if you think that you have a global mission, it starts with you taking baby steps every single day in the most effective way. there is nowhere to go for you, right? You do not have to run around networking. You do not have to travel the world. You can do that if you're like me. Like, of course, we love that, right? The pilgrimage to go to different countries, learn about different cultures. That's how we like build this reservoir, or that's how we've done it up until now, right? But we want to really focus on what we can do, where we are with what we have right now. Right? As I said, you do not have to be running around networking. You do not have to do this all the time. That's a whole conversation of proximity. What do the girlies say online is proximity and like, sure, you have to have talent and then proximity, something like that. Yes, but I believe as one stage in your journey, you have to focus on you, and this is where you build the field of your life, and this is where you build your new, more feminine routine inside the system that you already exist in. And you can always do that. And that also means that you could also start a YouTube channel and get your message out there. Get your message out there. Get your message out there. And you can do that from home. I mean, what is more effective? And that is the most effective way. You do not have to run around. You can do it from home and reach the world. That's ultimately everything that I was trying to say with everything that I just pointed out. You know what it is about? It is truly about trusting yourself. It's about trusting yourself and standing on your own, holding your own, standing on your own, trusting your knowledge, trusting your wisdom, trusting your calling, trusting what it is that you have to say, trusting that it's time for you to take up space. It's time for you to take up space, to declutter, and to make space for what wants to come through you opening up, relaxing, doing less than more, less but more quality. And then from that openness, you pour more from your heart, from your vulnerability, what you truly love, what you desire, and you pour it into your health, your relationships, your career, and to your finances. And that is truly effective. And those who are looking for you will find you. The more you signal, like really, you are a flower. I love like everything that I just wrote down here, but that's truly what it is. Like you are the flower, and the more you open up and the more you radiate in your true essence, you are going to send out the signal of beauty, right? You're gonna smell good, you're gonna look good, you're gonna speak well, you're gonna send out the frequency of your true essence. And the more you send it out on a daily basis from home, from your sacred space, right, from your sanctuary, right, you are going to attract the bees that want to smell on your fragrance, right? And these are going to be your clients, these are going to be the people that you're going to want to work with, and all of that. I'm not speaking about being passive, no, not at all, right? But I believe it's important, and that is the true magnetism, right? You send out whatever it is that you want to create over and over, over and over. Make it better, make it better, make it better. Refine yourself, refine your craft, refine your beauty from this place of I am going to act from where I am with what I have, and I'm going to radiate out what it is that I have to share, right? What it is that I have to tell, what it is that I have to offer. That's it. You are a leader, even if the world hasn't validated you yet. And that is when the whole topic of faith comes in. That's a whole topic for another video. But I believe that this is why it's so hard. Maybe everything I said, I know it sounds reasonable, right? But I know that for many women, because I have been there too, just to take your time to take yourself and your dream seriously, in order to say, I am going to start a YouTube channel now and I'm going to dedicate myself to it. To take your time to build your own, to stand on your own without any external validation. That is when you surrender. As I said, this level here, this level of evolution, of conscious evolution, is the level of surrender, right? This is where you surrender into a more, yeah, into more of your authenticity and also into your vulnerability, right? And you surrender. And you can only then become the authority that you know deep down you are, that you are this world leader, this global leader, the leader of the new world, that you're here to serve a purpose, a mission, and that you are here to build a community of people that you are serving, that you're pouring into from your overflow. You will only create that when you start acting like it, right? And this is when also this other concept of assuming that you are already the person, right? The law of assumption. When you act as if, when you already are the person without the external world already validating it, that is manifestation, right? When you know you're here to serve, you are here to give, you're here to be a global impactful woman, you started. You started and you continue and you continue and you continue, and then it's going to manifest and unfold from you stepping into your position, you stepping into your leadership position. This is when you start acting from the spiritual, from the inner knowing of who you are, of who you're supposed to be, coming from faith, coming from knowing, coming from this divine appointment, right? So that's it, truly. Again, if you know that you are a global leader, we are acting from full awareness of where we are in this world. We are still in this system: capitalism, patriarchy, racism, man made power hierarchies, the overculture that is dominating, or up until now has dominated, the feminine, the ancient, the universal, the timeless principles and powers. Yeah. But now this is coming up, the rise of the divine feminine. And as a woman, I am the rise of the divine feminine. I'm drawing from this ancient wisdom. Again, if you want to learn with me, all of that is found in my wisdom library, in my original sanctuary, right? We draw from all of that knowledge to then bloom wherever we are, right? There are so many analogies. My analogy is called healing into femininity. I absolutely love it. It's luxurious, it's quality. It came through me, it wanted to be birthed through me. And but it's also like the rose who grew from the concrete. It's the metaphor of the lotus flower, right? That is literally what it is. It's for us to break through to the natural world and to become the natural, sensual, creative, feminine, spiritual woman that we are, with full awareness of where we are. And also, and that's always what I'm going to close out with, you knowing your worth, your value, what you offer is valuable, meaning you can make money from it because you can truly create a better quality of life for other people through your knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. All right. That's it for today. A global woman is not only defined by her traveling the world all the time, right? Staying busy, being outside, networking, right? Just to seek validation from the outside. No. At one point, the global woman has to sit in her house and to create an effective way to reach her global audience, but by acting from where she is with what she has right now, creating her space around her. Yeah, that's it. And then you invite your people into your community and you continue to tend to your garden and help your people to evolve. That's my pleasure. That's what I love to do. So if you want to come into my field, into my sanctuary, and want to grow and blossom into the most beautiful flower that you can grow into, it will be my pleasure to support you. All right. So If you have any questions, if you have any comments, please let me know. Like I love to be in interaction. Like that is actually how I can pour more into you. Send questions, send comments. Let me know what you think, what you want to hear more of. That's really how I can pour more into you. All right? So with that being said, I'm looking forward to connect with you, and as I always like to close out, you are a force of nature, and I want to see you act like it. And acting like it is taking action. Don't only be entertained, take action so you can create the life that you absolutely love living. Until then, bye bye.